Welcome back to Studio 5. Parents spend a lot of time worrying about their child's education, their school performance, and their overall academic success. But what grade would your child earn in the area of emotional intelligence? Today we ask IQ or EQ. How can you raise an emotionally intelligent kid? Studio 5's Dr. Matt Townsend joins me. So it used to be that GPA was kind of the end all.
If you had high IQ, you were set for life. You were probably going to be a news anchor, maybe have your own show. Stuff like that.
Not the case anymore.
Not the case. Now it doesn't matter. No, but what's amazing is it used to be a big deal. Now what we're finding out, emotional intelligence, meaning your ability to actually read another person. In fact, we have the definition right here.
Yes.
It is the ability to accurately read and understand the needs, motivations, beliefs, and desires of yourself and others. So they're finding out that somebody that has the ability to read another person and themselves, to know their own emotions, their own motivators, their own beliefs, and understand themselves and others better, they're the ones that are going to make more money, be happier, have healthier lives.
Here's the thing, I'm not so convinced this can be learned, that someone can actually set out and master this. Aren't some people just naturally in possession of these skills?
Yeah, some of them are, and we call them women a lot of times.
Okay.
And my wife's really good at a lot of this, but it's actually very learnable. These are every one of these, we'll break them down into skills. They're very teachable.
So is this the same as social smarts? Like when you say that kid is socially insecure or socially backward, is this the same thing?
Some of it might be, but some of it might be. So they call that social intelligence, just the ability to work and get results with others. But this is also the ability to actually understand the emotions of others. And when you understand their emotions, you can motivate them. Everything is emotional. So if I can get you to if I can understand your emotion, I can probably get you to do anything. It's a really powerful...
You're manipulating
it. It sounds dangerous and scary, but it's super powerful.
Okay, all right. So how do we teach this? What are the four things?
Four things we want to work on. We're going to get through each one of them. Self-awareness is the first one, okay? The first key to self-awareness is you have to understand you. You have to be aware of how you impact what you feel, what you're thinking. So your children need to understand what they're feeling. And a lot of times they don't know what they're feeling because they're just really weird chemistry or physical, symptoms or activities they're feeling in their heart. Their heart's racing, their face is flushed. They don't know what they're feeling, but they know they want to pound on their brother.
Yes.
So we might want to give them a name for that. That is anger. You seem angry with Johnny. And we want to hold up the word for them. Now, they may not like the word, so let them pick any word they want. But we want to teach them that there's very basic feelings. And then eventually we can teach them more complex feelings. Anger versus frustration, we can start using another word. For frustrated, we could use another word. For sad, we could use, and start showing them that there's a bunch of emotions that they're feeling and that feelings are okay to have.
Can I give an example? Shout out to my girlfriend. We were having kind of a play date. They had brought their kids. We were all lunching. And one of the boys, I think he's around 6 or 7, he got really upset, right, in the middle of this little play date. And he stood up and he said, "I'm feeling very angry. I need a timeout." And he removed himself and all of the women went, bing, to my friend, like, Mother of the Year. And she goes, "We're working on it."
He's probably going to be a relationship coach.
He probably is.
Because that's
his
exactly
name was Matt, actually. No, it wasn't.
That's my son. You're talking about my son? That awareness is amazing because imagine what that's going to give him the rest of his life if he can recognize what he's feeling. And then he moved on to the next one called self-regulation. So it's not enough to just recognize your emotion, and we can teach our kids to do that. We can also learn to regulate our own emotion, meaning we need to teach our kids how to actually make themselves less angry when they're feeling angry. We might want to teach him some breathing skills. He self-selected and took a time out. But regulation is a powerful thing. You know the #1 way to teach a kid to regulate? Playtime. Wrestle with them. Dads are notorious, and even in the research, we're notorious for overstimulating our children and making them angry. And then we're usually pretty good at helping them to recover from their anger.
So they get all worked up wrestling with dad, kind of monkeying around.
That is what dads really are for, is to get their kids overstimulated and then teach them to regulate.
Really?
In fact, that's a really powerful thing that roughhousing does, is it allows our kids to get angry, frustrated, and then we can calm them down. So while you're playing with your kids, let them get, let them get a little riled up, let them get into a little tussle or whatever, but then go teach them soothing skills and techniques to remove themselves and what they could go do while they're thinking in their timeout. So it's not always great that they just run away and have a timeout. We might want to give them something to think about while they're in the timeout. Something that they can do, which might get to our very next point, which is simply other or social awareness. Your kids need to understand what others are feeling. One of the greatest things you can do when you drive down and you see somebody holding up a sign, "Will work for food" or whatever, talk about that. Son, what do you think it feels like to not have any money and no place to sleep? What would that feel like to you? And nowhere to go. And then talk to your kids about what that might feel like. When you hear somebody that in your neighborhood that's sick, What do you think it feels like to know that you may have a sickness that is really, really going to take you away from your family and maybe even take your life?
So you're teaching
what would
empathy.
that feel like? That's called empathy. So if you can start getting them to, they'll understand their own feelings.
Yeah.
If you can start projecting those feelings onto others, that's called taking the place of other, and that's empathy. What a powerful skill. So now they can not only recognize their own and be aware, they can regulate their own, but they can also recognize it in others.
What do you do, Matt, if you worry a child isn't grasping this? Like, short of calling them selfish, they just aren't able, even at the age of 8 or 9 when we're told they can be accountable, they're not really grasping other people's needs.
One thing I would do is I would just relax, because a lot of this, I mean, I have teenagers that aren't grasping it. And yet, all of a sudden, we came back from a trip last night and we left our 18-year-old in charge.
Okay.
And I was terrified. I mean, this is the kid that
Was the
forgets
house
to go to
standing?
school. The house was immaculate.
Okay.
The kids were all happy. I asked one of them, how did it go? And he said, that was the best. Tanner's the best babysitter we've ever had. And I'm like, really?
Are we talking about the same Tanner?
Is this the same Tanner that we have to do? But what he is he's emotionally intelligent. And I think what he knew is he knew it would please us. So he got into our emotions. He got into his mom's emotion about how she would feel if she came home and the house was a mess. And he regulated his own desires not to, and he changed and he did it. So if they're not getting it when they're young, just trust that they'll probably get it when they're older. The average age of development of the human brain, though, of a person is 25. They're not fully developed till they're 25.
So don't give up hope until the night of that 25th
But teach
birthday.
teach it, right?
Yeah. Well, if you're taking the steps, you can feel reassured that they're going to grasp it at some
And if you're
point.
having them point out, you should start seeing them respond. Now, if you see there's really no connection to it, there's other things that could be going on. But I probably wouldn't worry about that till 12, they're 12, 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
Last but not least, though, is they have to learn the relationship skills, the management skills, how to talk. I'd always send my kids up to order their own food. When the waitress comes, I let them order. I don't order for my kids. If they want more, I have them go ask for more.
Which can be painful for a lot
scary.
of kids who are really
But they need
shy.
to learn those skills. They need to learn some conflict resolution. Don't fight their fights for them. They need to learn some boundaries.
Yeah.
Let them understand what a yes and a no is and make them kind of stand up for themselves.
I've shared this before. My mom used to have us call our own babysitters.
It's brilliant.
And it terrified me,
I know.
but
Look
taught
at
me
you.
phone communication skills
But
at
it
a
worked.
really young age.
Every one of those skills are going to be helpful. Teach them humor, because sometimes humor is an easy way out if you can do it effectively, to not have to suffer as much. Teach them boundaries, yes and no's. Talk about their issues they're having with their friends. Help them take the place of, what do you think it feels like to be this person? What do you think it feels like to be this person? What do you think the mother of your friend that you hit with the ball feels like?
And what age do we start doing that, Matt? Identifying the emotion and role playing like that?
I do it as soon as they're talking and communicating, but usually 4, 5, 6, 7. One thing to remember: 5-month-old babies recognize the emotions of other babies and they mimic them. So if a 5-month-old baby hears another baby crying, they're going to start mimicking that. That's why they pay attention to when moms are crying and when someone's angry. So at a very young age, you're wired to relate and to communicate about emotion. So we could probably start teaching it the minute they're responding to us.
I love this topic, Matt. Thank you so
You
much.
bet.
Date night coming up. Seats are filling up.
Seats are filling up. November 15th. This is how to create peace with people. Some people need some help. And it's obviously not you. But what you're going to do is you're going to use this date night. Bring your friends, bring your family. It's a great night to get everyone out. Go to datenightswithmatt.com. We're going to talk about peace and how we can be a more peaceful family, a more peaceful couple, a more peaceful community.
I think it'd be a great Christmas gift.
It is. It
as
is
a family.
the perfect holiday gift.
All right, Matt.
Thanks,
Thank
Brooklyn.
you so much. When we come back.